Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Elizibar, and we can call this like George Perez Appreciation Day. Now, both of these books are from a few years apart. If I understand looking at the art and the coloring, this is like a 70s, like a mid 70s book. This is like an early 80s book. I guess I could look at like the publication dates in here. Where do I see that for DC? Oh, back page for whatever reason. Publishes New Teen Titans 2, copyright 1980. So that's a 1980 book. And this one is Avengers Volume 1. What issue? 162, so that's 10 years. Then you got like 40 more, so let's just call it 4 more years. So 1976, 77, something like that. You're like, okay, Elizibar, what's going on? Both these books have art by George Perez in them, and it's remarkably different. The art in both books is very much the house style for these companies. If I open this up, you'll immediately go, oh, that looks like George Perez art on Teen Titans. Like it's iconic. It's absolutely iconic. George Perez, when he worked for DC, all his books looked like DC. They looked like this. It's a great style. It conveys emotion very well. It looks provocative. It looks fun. It's clean, which is all very appropriate. I want to show this next page. Here we go. And the action is depicted very well. Look how it's depicted. We got this like vertical stack of panels. Okay, I want you to remember that. I want you to remember that because now we're going to look at the Avengers book. If I open this up here, it looks like a 70s Marvel book, even early 80s. They all look like this. They all had this. When it's printed on nice, clean, glossy paper, the coloring looks outrageous and eye-popping. They all looked like this. The characters looked like this. This looks like a Marvel comic book. It's like the house style, and George Perez is drawn to it. Let me get to an action page back here, because I want to show you the difference in layouts. Now, the Teen Titan book says that George Perez co-created and did layouts, so I'm not entirely sure. Man, I can't find the page I want. I'm not entirely sure what that means, if he penciled or literally just did layouts, but like, check this out. So, over here, we got this big hamburger stack. You know, this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's like no, it's beyond a triple. It's like a quattro burger. Whereas over here, we have more left to right stuff with lots of real close-in zooms, emotion, action, lots of dynamic stuff. You can see over here, we kind of just put like a loose, not even loose background. We just put like a solid color background and lots of speed lines. Over here, we got lots of greebling in some of these panels, and then some of the other ones we just go with like, we're going to have a solid background and lots of impact lines to show the force. They look very different from each other. If you told me this was the same artist, I would not have believed you. I would go, come on, this one's George Perez, and this is some Marvel house artist whose name is escaping me, you know. But it's not. It's George Perez. It's absolutely fantastic. That's an incredibly versatile hand. That's an incredibly versatile talent to be iconic in his own right and really kind of nail down what the house style for DC is. When just a couple years earlier, he was drawing to someone else's house style, making their characters look iconically like their characters. I mean, if you look at this, that is obviously Thor. Thor has looked like that since Kirby first drew him. That is what Thor looks like. That is Iron Man in, like suit number 512. That's obviously Black Panther. Over here, that's obviously Robin, Cyborg, Corey. Like, all these characters, they look like they're supposed to. They look like their iconic, archetypical look. And there's not many artists that I can think of who can just radically alter their style in such a short span. Like, if you showed me, I'm going to get this copy of Rags out. If you showed me art by Luigi from like 5 years ago, it would be recognizably his work. I wouldn't go, oh, that's just some artist. I would go, that's Luigi Teruel. Because you can tell the way he does the pencils, the way he does the inks. Let me find a face in here. That's a real good Luigi looking one. Yeah, like that. If you showed me his line work from a few years ago, I'm sure it'd be the same if you showed me his line work 10 years from now. it will be recognizably his line work as long as he's penciling and inking over it himself. And maybe that's some of what's going on here is different people finish the art in these two books, so maybe there's some influence there. But I really don't think there is. I really don't think there is. I think this is just George Perez's hand being so good that he can draw the way other people want and still draw the way he wants. Like, I think that's what's going on here. And I gotta admit, like, I wasn't a DC person. I was a Marvel person, man. You give me, like, Spider-Man, you give me Captain America, I'm in heaven. You give me Batman, I'm like, yeah, this is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed some Batman stories because there are some really good ones. No Man's Land, for example, still kind of takes my breath away. Just the scope of it all. But when I'm a kid, I'm used to this kind of stuff. I mean, comic books are starting to look different then because you had like Todd McFarlane, uh, Eric Larson, and all them coming in and shaking up Marvel on the art department. But it's still, for the most part, recognizably Marvel. Just like over here in DC, even when other artists are drawing, they still look at this point like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, not exactly, but they stayed on reference to this kind of art. They stayed on reference to this kind of art, at least until the later part of the 80s, and that's when things started drifting a little bit. And you got like Todd's super lumpy Hulk, for example, and oh man, all the little webbing details from the spider web shooters on Spider-Man. Really impressive stuff. George Perez, this is like my education in George Perez, and it blew my mind a little bit. So I just had to share my insight, my enthusiasm. Now, I've seen his art before, but I don't think I've ever been confronted with his art from two different companies side by side like this before. And it blew my mind. All right, I'm going to quit ranting. I'm going to quit probably repeating myself. You all take care of yourselves. You have a great day. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I sure hope to see you again next time. Until then, bye-bye.